every Wednesday, at least I try to be there every Wednesday, we have what we call the prayer time where people call in. And normally, as I've talked about before, it's sort of doom and gloom. People call in because there's a lot of needs out there. Marriages failing, people with no finances, and people are sick, babies are sick, people die, suicides, all that kind of stuff goes on every week. And I only had 2 calls this last week. That's it, 2 calls. I was like, 2 calls? What's up? And anyway, the second call, though, it was completely different than normal because the person just says, I just want to praise God. Amen. I was like, okay. I was like, you can praise God, that's good. And so talking on the phone, she's like, I have been calling for the last 2 years. My husband's not worked, hasn't had a job, and we are having a really hard time. And she said, but he still doesn't have a job, and I'm not even concerned about that. But through that experience, we ended up moving out, separating. Things got worse and worse and worse. And she says, and finally, through the whole crux of it, God did something in our hearts and our lives to where we've been reconciled back together. Amen. And I'm like, that's cool. That's something to be thankful for. So she says, so I don't even care about the job thing. I don't even care about that. She goes, I'm just really thankful that He did something in our marriage that needed to have happened that we didn't recognize unless the job thing didn't happen. She's like, we're just going around, going through the motions and doing stuff. This last week I was working out. I do CrossFit workouts and stuff, and one of them is you take a towel, because I don't have a rope, okay? And you take a towel and fill the bar, and then you hang from the towel, and you go like this, and you lift yourself up, and you go like this, and like this. You ever done that?
I have.
Okay, it's horrible. All right? It's horrible. But in the end, my shoulders are so sore. It's unbelievable. Absolutely. Like, why are you telling me this right before prayer? Because I understand one thing in my own life that I know is probably true for everyone here, that as we live a life with God and try to and check Him out, He's doing things in our lives that sometimes bring pain. And because the pain sometimes causes growth. Okay? If you don't go through that painful stuff, you sometimes just stay back and let things happen. And so it's when we come to prayer for this lady who, with her marriage, she had to go through some pain and realize that Christ Himself, He was made perfect through His suffering. And as disciples of His, that's how we'll be made perfect. It's not the most wonderful thing to proclaim. Yeah, I'm going to suffer this next week or this next month, and I'm looking forward to it. But know that as we suffer, we go through trials and tribulations, He's the one going right there through with us. Because He's not finished with us. The work that He started is going to complete, but that oftentimes proves to be, when it's talking about a plane, they say the plane take off against the wind, right? Not against the wind. So let's pray. Lord, You are mighty, and Your ways are much higher than our ways, and Your thoughts are also. Before they even really know what to say, I just ask that You take the burdens in this room, and I'm not even necessarily say take them just all away, but that You draw close to each one of us as we go through them. And for those of us that can praise, Lord, that we stand and sing praises loudly, and we live our faith out loud. And for those of us that can't, or still learning, or feel this darkness around us, I ask for Your comfort and Your peace. Things that You want to dwell with us, not in buildings made by hands, but in a group of people that want to come together and invite You into their lives. Where You say all the power and all the authority is. And so thanks for being our authority and our power and our strength. And giving us something to sing about. In Jesus' name.